Hi, I am Dr. Felice Gersh, your integrative physician, speaking to you from my office in Irvine, California. I'm so excited today to announce that I am beginning a new series on fasting for women. We are going to cover every aspect you could possibly imagine, and hopefully more, concerning this incredibly important topic of fasting and directing it at the specifics involving females. But just so you know, if you have an important male in your life or you happen to be a male, I will dedicate at least one show about men. So first, I want to officially introduce myself for those of you who do not know me. I am Dr. Felice Gersh. I am one of the few double board certified doctors in both integrative medicine and in OBGYN. I have a practice called the Integrative Medical Group of Irvine, located in Southern California, in Irvine, California, where I see patients every day. In fact, I will see patients shortly after I finish this show. It's wonderful working with patients and helping them to really optimize their health, to have every opportunity to have the lives they deserve. But I know I can't see everyone, and that's why I started this show. And this particular series on fasting for women is going to be hopefully eye-opening and sometimes mouth-closing, right, for all of you out there. So I want today to introduce you to the topic and what we will be covering during the upcoming shows. So the topic of eating, we have covered on many of my previous Instagram shows. We talk about the importance of having colorful vegetables and fruits in your diet, of eating across the rainbow, of making sure your food is organic and whole and unprocessed. So we've devoted a great deal of time to what you should eat. Now we're going to talk about when you shouldn't eat, because it turns out that humans evolved so many thousands of years ago when food was scarce. In fact, humans evolved to be incredibly competent at dealing with famines. In fact, they've looked at other species of types of hominoids. For example, the Neanderthals. Well, it turns out they were probably smarter than Homo sapiens. Their brains were bigger, but yet they became extinct. And we, the Homo sapiens, have survived. How is that? Well, it turns out that even if you're super smart, if your body can't deal with famines, you will probably not survive. And that's what makes us special. We Homo sapiens have really evolved to be incredibly skillful at dealing with lack of food. The problem is our society now is nothing like what it was thousands of years ago when food was scarce. Now food is too aplenty, right? We have food at every turn. You walk down the street, there could be a restaurant one after another on both sides of the street. Fast food, restaurants, and also you go to the grocery store, it's packed with food, much of it overflowing, right? So food is not, for most people, a problem in terms of getting food or quantity of food. So we have to relearn the lessons of the past that we do not want to eat all the time. And so there is actually an art to not eating, but you actually have also mastered some of this. You just haven't thought about it, because who among us does not fast? So the definition of fasting is simply not eating. When we sleep at night, we are certainly fasting. And there are times in the day when we are not eating, hopefully, and then we are fasting. So what we're going to develop is really some very foundational skills and knowledge about the art of fasting. So it turns out that women are very different from men. I've talked about that so much. And so fasting for women is going to be somewhat different than for men. What makes women different? Well, when you're reproductive, you have this amazing menstrual cycle, this beautiful lunar rhythm, this ebb and flow of hormones. And it's really important to take that into account. And so we will. We'll talk about when during the menstrual cycle it's best to do fasting. And we will also talk about menopause. What about aging? These are all topics that we will cover, these unique special issues for women. Then it turns out that there are some unique issues that women face more commonly than men. For example, weight loss. Did you know that women are more challenged with weight loss than men? They tend to hold on to their fat more. So we're going to talk about that and how that relates to fasting. We'll also talk about fertility. And of course, that also can include men, by the way, because it's very important that they have low levels of inflammation to have quality sperm. But women, it becomes so obvious when they have fertility problems and their cycles are not right, and they're so upset when they don't succeed in conceiving. So we're going to talk about the role of fasting in fertility. We're also going to talk about what happens when you are pregnant. Is there an appropriate time to fast then, or breastfeeding? Of course, we will cover all of those issues. But just so you know, I'm going to talk about it, but I don't want any of you out there who are pregnant or breastfeeding to do any specific form of fasting without speaking to a physician, especially if we're talking about fasting other than through the night, okay? But we're going to talk about that's leading up into different types of fasting. I mentioned when you're sleeping, you're fasting. Well, when we do it right, we should fast at the right time of day and, of course, at night. So we're going to talk about time-restricted eating, the times of the day when you are most genetically receptive to food, and the times of the day when we are best served not eating, and how to deal with that, and depending on our age and our goals and situation. So time-restricted eating will be covered. We're going to define what is intermittent fasting, what is periodic fasting, what is prolonged fasting. These are words that are bantered about and people often don't know what they mean. So of course we're going to define the terms, what they mean, and how to apply them in different situations. We're going to look at different medical conditions. For example, autoimmunity. That's something that women face far more than men. Is there a role of fasting for women who have any sort of autoimmune disease? We'll cover what's known, the published research, and we'll talk about future possibilities as well. We'll look at diabetes, prediabetes, cardiovascular disease, and of course, what I love to do the most is preventative or proactive medicine, where we're trying to prevent all those things from happening. It's much easier to prevent than to reverse medical problems. So we are going to deal with all of this and more. We're going to talk about the best ways to introduce fasting. What about preparation? This is so important. I am so experienced in helping women to prepare for fasting. What I never want people to do is jump right in and start water fasting for multiple days at a time. Their body is not ready for that. So I'm going to talk to you about how to prepare for fasting, how to get your body replete, full of nutrients before you even consider that. And we'll talk about warnings, like who should be seeing a physician? When is it safe to fast on your own? When should you be under medical supervision? And what types of fasting are completely inappropriate for certain populations? For example, how about the frail, the very thin, the ill, acutely ill, those who are very elderly? We're going to talk about who should not be fasting and what to do if you're troubled with fasting, like you're having challenges, like you can't seem to fast for more than 2 hours and then you feel you have to eat. What's happening? Why is it that you feel you have to always eat? And how can you deal with this? What happens when you try to do fasting and you fail? What are the tricks that you can do to get you back on track? We'll cover all of that. So I just wanted to get you all on board to know what I have in store for you. This is going to be hopefully a very unique, eye-opening, and like I said, sometimes mouth-closing series on fasting for women. All you ever thought you should know, all you ever should know, and we'll talk about what you can do very soon to get your health back on track if you have not been incorporating fasting, and if you have, how to do it right, how to do it better, how to do it safely. We'll talk about the evidence, the myth, and so forth. So please join me coming up. The next episode will be posted on my Instagram so that you will know when to come and see my shows. You will also be able to access them through my YouTube channel if you're busy at the time I'm broadcasting live. So from Irvine, California, I want to invite all of you out there to stay with me through the series on fasting for women, everything you should know to optimize your health and your happiness. Hope to see you soon. Stay well, stay safe.